with clients have been Zoom, so I've been dressing up for that.
That's nice. Are your clothes still fit and everything? It's wonderful.
Just
right,
above the waist.
We're live on YouTube, so
Okay.
if you all are ready, we can go ahead and get started.
We're ready. I'll go ahead and call the March 9th, 2021 Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. I'll ask you, Douglas, to acknowledge that the meeting has been advertised in compliance with state law.
Yes, the meeting's been advertised and the property is posted in compliance with state law.
Excellent. Moving on to item C, approval of minutes of previous meeting, February 2nd, 2021. So any comments to those from anyone?
Do we have a motion for approval?
I'll move to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I'll second that.
Comment for correction on number 6. The answer is there, but not the question that I asked that goes with the answer.
I will go back and take a look at that.
Number 6.
Relating to the sales on the restaurant, I asked a question about the status of that, and the answer is there, but not the question.
My number 6 is miscellaneous business on the water and sewer. Am I looking at the right minutes?
So,
Maybe I am.
got our annual legal briefing. Those might be the January minutes we're looking at.
I'm looking at the wrong ones too then.
It should be
Arnold?
February 3rd.
Are you looking at the February minutes?
February 3rd.
Yeah, probably. It
Who's
was
your
whatever
star?
was in whatever's in the packet.
Huh.
So my number 6, Arnold, is miscellaneous business. Director Carr reported that the Water and Sewer Commission would be coming back before the board. Blah, blah, blah. Is that the same number 6 you're looking at?
I didn't print it out, so
Well,
So Arnold, will you just send me an email on what it is?
yeah. But
Okay.
just move on and approve it with any possible future correction.
Okay. Yeah, just send me an edit if you think one is necessary.
Okay.
any other comments? Okay. I'll go ahead and call for the vote on that. All in favor of the motion to approve the February 3rd, 2021 minutes? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries unanimously. Minutes are approved. That one little. So let's see, D, swearing of any person giving testimony. So I think we all know, since you were here in January, that the Board of Zoning Appeals serves as a quasi-judicial body, which means that all of the testimony given is treated as such, as court testimony. So in order to speak, you're going to need to be sworn in. So anybody who would like to talk, if you please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right.
All right. Dave was on mute, but I could see his lips moving. So we're going to say that you said that.
All right.
I saw his lips moving too. I couldn't tell who was.
All right.
It's hard in a group like that.
right, we
Okay,
got it.
so item E, special exceptions. Douglas, you want to take it
Yep.
away?
Yes. The first one on your agenda is for the wastewater treatment facility at the corner of Waterway Boulevard and 41st Avenue. And they are requesting a special exception to allow what I think would be considered their second expansion of that facility, or the construction of the second module really of that facility. And the way the city's code is written, it has one set of criteria whereby it can be approved at a staff level. And if they can't comply with all of those criteria, there is a second level of criteria that would trigger it into the realm of needing a special exception issued by the Board of Zoning Appeals. The Water and Sewer Commission can comply with, and I think there's 5 of them, and they can comply with 4 of the 5 zoning administrator approval criteria, but the 5th one is the height of the overall facility, and they cannot comply with that one. So that's triggered them into the realm of needing to come before the Board of Zoning Appeals to get a special exception prior to being able to move that project forward. Those criteria are included in section 5-4-32 subsection 9. And the specific criteria that they can't comply with is 30 feet is zoning administrator approval, and up to 40 feet is Board of Zoning Appeals approval. And I think their facility is planned right at 39 feet, which puts them into that category. This site is a 2.19 acre parcel on the corner of Waterway and 41st. There are 3, what I would call 3 new structures. It's kind of, I'll let them describe a little bit more detail in terms of what those are, but they have a combined roof area of approximately 7,000 square feet. The existing roof structure on that site has an area of approximately 4,500 square feet. In addition to that roofed structure, there is what I think is an equalization basin or a treatment basin, which is approximately 5,600 square feet. That's proposed in addition to the existing basin, which is 2,400 square feet. The lot coverage, I do now have some detail on this, but it's well below the required limit of 50% is what's stated in the code as the minimum required lot coverage, or the maximum, I should say, and they're well below that. They also have an existing vegetative buffer. That was something that they had to do at the first round of expansions at this site. They had to install a buffer. A lot of it was existing with existing vegetation, but they did add some vegetation to be compliant with that. They've also indicated on their application that the facility would also include noise control and odor control measures to offset any impacts that could be had to the adjacent properties. So I've put in your packet the pertinent zoning sections. I'm not going to read the ones verbatim, but you can read them there in your packet. They are that the site be at least a half acre, that the lot coverage be no more than 50%, that the minimum setback be 20 feet from all property lines, that the height be 40 feet or less, and that it have an adequate buffer. In addition to those provisions, the board should be considering just the standard special exception provisions, which are in section 5-4-5C1. And those, in summary, are 1, that adequate provisions are made for setbacks, buffer strips, and other things that could protect adjacent properties. Number 2, vehicular traffic and pedestrian movement on adjacent roads must not be hindered. Number 3, off-street parking and loading areas must be adequate. And number 4, that the proposed use must not adversely affect the property values, the general character, or the welfare of the surrounding vicinity. And I would just finish by saying that, as you all know, the board is able to attach special conditions as you see fit. If there was something that you wanted to, a condition you wanted to tie to your approval, you have the latitude to do that. And that's all I have.
Got it. Thank you. I would like to make a motion to approve the special exception application as submitted. Appeal number 2102. Motion to approve it as submitted. I have a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. And is there any discussion? Any questions for the water and sewer folks? For
What I'd
Douglas?
like to see entered as part of the record is what the need was to go to that height.
Okay.
I have a question as well.
I'm Mark Yotis with Thomas and Hutton Engineering Company. I can answer that question.
Thank you.
Um,
Very good.
I would like to point out too that this is a consolidation, so that this takes the capacity of the wastewater treatment plant at Wild Dunes and puts it over here. So that other plant will eventually go away. I also want to point out that we had to get a special exception to have a higher building height in phase 1 to be able to pull the membranes out. These is a new technology where they actually suck the water through these membranes to filter it, and so the clean water goes through the membranes and goes out. And what you have to do eventually is pull those membranes up and out, and that's the need for it because they're so tall. You know, the other parts are set based upon volumes and flood zones and things like that. So you kind of have a baseline you start with, and we have to pull them out and get them out of the basin and put them down to the side to clean them or replace them. That's the kind of, we have a minimum height we need to be able to do that. Therefore, the structure goes up.
Thank you. I think that's just important for anyone who might be reading this after us. So thank you for that explanation.
I have a question. I understand you need that clearance to the underside of the roof. Why is the roof pitched instead of flat? If the roof was flat, you wouldn't be exceeding the height limit by so many feet.
We feel we get better roof drainage and no potential problems with, i.e., a flat roof. Also, the original setup with the pitch roof was trying to keep a little bit more in blending into what's out there. I don't see a lot of, you know, flat roofs in that general area. So we were trying to get it, you know, to be a little bit more residential style than commercial style.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I would like to say I live in that area, and I, just for the record, I think the improvements have been wonderful. It's always kind of interesting driving around that corner previously. So whatever you've done with the membrane and the new procedure and the odor dampening and the noise, it's a fine facility. It seems to be really well run, so we appreciate it.
Were there any questions from the neighborhood?
I would just answer that in that now that we are virtual, the neighborhood input would be commented through the city's website. There is a form to do that. And we did not receive any public comments for any of the cases on our agenda tonight. So there was no feedback from the public.
Thank you.
Well, if there are no other comments, I don't believe, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the special exception application 2102 as submitted, say aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you mute it? I would like to see that.
So moving on, next, we're still in E, I believe, but number 80 41st Avenue, modification of a prior request.
Yes. This is a request that was initially heard by the board in January. And this is the Marina Restaurant at number 80 41st Avenue. And at the January meeting, they submitted a floor plan and a request to allow outdoor seating and outdoor service at that restaurant, which the board approved. They have subsequently gotten into kind of tearing that building apart, and I'll let them get into more detail, but it has led to the need for them to change their proposal and shift the location within the building where they want to have the outdoor seating. They have also, since that last request, they've added a bar, which was not in the original request that you all saw. So this was different enough that I wanted you all to look at it. And there is an existing order that's out and been sent to them, giving approval. And I really wanted to get a feel for whether or not, if the board would have voted differently given this modification, and just to get basically a sense for whether or not it would have changed any of the action for the board. The order that was sent did have conditions on the number of seats, and I think it was set at 61. It also had controls in there for a noise ordinance agreement with the tenant. So all of those things would still hold true. But if there was something in this new request or this modification that would led you to have had a different conclusion, I wanted to run that through the board and get your feedback on whether or not your action would have changed.
Douglas, do you have the layout that you could pull up?
I probably do, yes.
I think just walking everyone through the.
Why don't I go ahead and make a motion to approve the altered plan as presented? I think we have it in our package.
Oh, you do.
And see if anybody's inclined to second that, and we'll start talking about it.
I'll second it.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve the altered plan in a second. So we'll go ahead and open it up for discussion.
Is my screen currently
That's
showing
not
you?
the right one? That there was one that had seats.
Yeah.
Yeah. F1.1.
Might take just a second.
Because it illustrates there's actually less seats.
Getting there. These run through a little tablet, which has kind of limited horsepower.
Let me ask the question while you're doing that. Is the restaurant no longer going to have a second floor?
It will have a second floor.
Will that be the same as the floor that's there now, or that will change?
The area that we're going to discuss today is the bottom part of that upper area that is existing. If you go to it was kind of, I don't know if people called it like the sunset deck or something. It was off of the second floor.
Right.
This is really just below it. There you go. So if you look and I'll just give a quick nickel speech on the, why we made this change. But basically, when we got into the kitchen area, which was reported in the Hill report, we knew there was problems, which is in the lower portion, the lower left hand, right in there. we found there's considerable rot in the walls and in the ceiling and the joist in the ceiling. So for safety, we would need to rebuild that whole structure. And so when we had our architect look at it, and this is when you're renovating a building, you always open cans of worms all the time. And this was a big can of worms. But as we started looking at it, and we decided that we actually could save that area and save some cost by just building a kind of a deck on the back of the building there, where you see the big there are like 12 top tables and then some other tables there. That big gray box is actually a walk-in cooler. So you wouldn't see that. That would actually be covered. But that would be, attached going into the kitchen. And so above that area, before we had talked about going down the steps, and that would be a landing area for outside seating. But instead of that, we're just going to keep that as the inside kind of atrium area that is existing. We're going to fix the flooring and decor a little bit and in that area, but then utilize, because we thought it was really important to have views of the intercoastal waterway from the restaurant in an outdoor setting. We think that would be, great for the customers and the island residents. So we decided to build this little deck there. And I'm sorry, I didn't see who asked that question about the second floor, but it would be, Glenn, I think you had asked that. It would be
Yes.
it'd be on the second floor of that area. So that existing deck that's on the second floor, this is just below that. So it would be a covered deck. Does that make
But it
sense
would-
to everybody?
But it would
Yep.
not be, it would not be enclosed.
It would
It would
not
be
be enclosed.
covered.
It would be open air. Yeah, but it would have a roof
Not-
over top of it.
Right, it's not conditioned space.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, before on the second floor, there was a area that was basically outside with a canvas roof or something. I can't remember exactly, but is this below that?
Correct. The canvas roof is really over the main dining room.
Okay,
And then you had like a little porch off of the back of the restaurant facing the intercoastal up there.
Yeah,
That was just, they seated every once in a while. In the summer it would get really hot, so they didn't usually seat it. It wasn't covered. I mean, they used to have umbrellas over it and things like that. So that would stay the same.
I think they did have a canvas roof over that at one point as well.
Oh, did they? Yeah, they might have. Yeah, it gets really hot in the summer. So I think they've kind of gone through different variations upstairs, but this would be underneath that as a covered deck. But you would have no wall facing the intercoastal. So it'd be like kind of a porch.
So you'd have a handrail running along that
Correct.
edge of the deck.
Yep.
and then that's a bar now that's there facing the 12 tops?
Correct. Yeah. And the need for that is the way we had it designed. Restaurants are all about flow and speed of service. So what that is what's called a service bar. So it's, going to be limited. You won't have all the varieties that you'd have at the other bars, but it's able to get, beers, wine, and sodas and stuff like that to that area without the servers having to run all the way to the front of the restaurant. So it kind of a self-contained little area.
Just curious, with the new cooler, where's the access to that?
It's not shown there, but it's into the kitchen. So right there.
Okay,
Yep.
through the wall there, the
Yeah,
kitchen
this
wall.
would be
Okay.
it would be covered. There's some neat materials that we'll put on it
Yep.
around it, so you wouldn't even know there's a cooler behind it.
Okay.
Now, are you showing new steps into what used to be the outside facility there in the front?
Yeah, that would be, so you need to have a second set of stairs that would be egress stairs for fire regulations going from the upstairs to the downstairs.
Yes.
That's a different variation of, being able to get to that top deck that you were talking about earlier. That's the way that you'd be able to access it. You'd also be able to access it, obviously, the front of the restaurant there and come up through the restaurant. But for fire regulations, even having the elevator in there, you have to have 2 points of access off of that rooftop seating area. So that would be the new stairs. The old stairs were facing they were kind of gaudy if you were ever driving down the intercoastal, and they kind of ran down the back of the building. So if you're boating on the intercoastal, you would have seen the stairs kind of coming off the back of the building or facing the intercoastal. It's not a very good look.
And so
I
now this is,
noticed-
go ahead.
Well, I noticed, so you have what looks like 6, I guess, bar stools at the bar. You could eat there as what, is that an eating bar or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be a small bar. Again, we call it kind of a service bar. You're not going to have that area isn't big enough for, and so it would be, beers and wine and sodas and stuff like that, cocktails, but limited.
But somebody could have their lunch sitting there or?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Is it more, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be the same as having there or at these other tables. Yeah, it'd be a full service area where you would dine and stuff like that. So that's kind of how we saw where, we were going to have above that. That's where the outside dining area was going to be. We just shifted to that area.
So this is more, I guess, functionally for you, an outdoor seating area that has a limited bar that's able to kind of service this backside of the restaurant without creating a bunch of, it's not primarily a bar that just happens to have some seats thrown around. It's
right.
So what is your total seating with this scheme?
I mean, that's
Total outdoor seating. Your total
what
outdoor
we showed
seating.
right there was 42. I mean, if you count those seats right there.
Are you
well
counting the bar seats as well as part of this?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't, from a square footage perspective, it'll be hard to fit 64 seats in that area.
Yeah.
you still have loudspeakers, or you still intend to use loudspeakers?
You would have music just like we had at the other area, but again, we would, apply the noise ordinance agreement to that. I mean, it's not going to be the Windjammer.
Nobody can be the Windjammer.
Yeah.
Don't even try. Institution.
Okay.
Anybody have any more questions or thoughts or? Okay. So I think, Ryan, did you have?
I'm just looking at, the 12 tops that are up in the right-hand corner.
Mm-hmm.
Where are they? Upper right-hand corner of the sheet.
Yeah, the other way.
Oh, that's in the sand area. Those were always there.
I know, but isn't that outdoor dining?
So, Brian, the only thing, so there are certain parts of this that are existing, which, so this facility always had, they got approved outdoor services in what we call the sand pit area, which is out there.
Right.
They also have pre-existing 2 outdoor dining spaces that are all existing. But the need to come back to the board is when those things change. So
Right.
this side, outdoor seating on the back side is new and a change. So that's what triggered them the need to come back before this group.
Okay.
So yes, that is outdoor dining, and upstairs is also outdoor seating, but that is
Right.
independent of this request as it was previously approved.
Okay. That's all I have.
So let's see. So that's 40. There's 40 seats in there, and then 6 at the bar. That's what we're looking at,
Yeah, I think it's 42 total.
42 total.
16.
So when I made my motion to approve the altered application,
46.
how would that work? So I guess I kind of need to reword the conditions that I don't want those to go away. Do those stay, or as I'm reading the first condition from the prior order, it says the outdoor sale of food and drink be limited to no more than 64 seats or the maximum seating allowed by applicable codes on the open back deck, whichever is less. So in this instance, I think I'd like to reword that in a way that solidifies this plan that was submitted with the number of tables and seats that are there. I wouldn't want to see less than that unless the code required them to have less.
These aren't necessarily like the layout of seats. I mean, we might have 4 tops. I think it's kind of like I said, it would be very difficult to put more than 64 in there. Seats. So
right.
I mean, I don't.
What about 42, Dave? Could you foresee wanting more than 42?
That's not the plan that, our architect just threw that in there. It doesn't make sense to put 2 big high tops back there. But again, I don't see it being more than 64. Even if you look at the area north of that, it would be impossible to fit all those seats in that area. But I wouldn't want to be limited to 42. But
my concern, I just don't want it to be 0. I don't want it to end up to turn into a big patio, and I'm not sure I don't want to limit your ability to seat as many people as you can, but I also don't want to just kind of open it up to something that turns into kind of a open flex space that really isn't a full service sit down, restaurant space.
Well, if we limit it to what's allowed by the code, that should give him enough latitude to do what he needs to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think
right now there's 46 spaces. There's 46 seats in there.
Yes.
Okay.
Setting a limit means
42.
that's your top, so you can go below that. I'm looking at establishing a baseline of seating within that area.
So she's talking about going the opposite
Other way.
The way it's currently worded, there is a maximum. I think Elizabeth is considering, with the addition of the bar, that it might be appropriate to establish a minimum. Is that correct, Elizabeth? At least
correct.
X number of seats?
Yeah, some threshold that.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, because not that I think it's going to be beautiful, and I plan to eat out there with some frequency, but I just, this is the 4th bar we're adding, and I just don't want it to end up.
I understand now what you're saying. Yeah, minimum of 40 seats or 30 seats, or whatever.
If you could get 50 in there, that'd be fine with me, but I just don't want it to be 2 in a corner.
I agree. No, we want it to be a dining.
Yes.
So
I just want to solidify that intent so that,
Would 46 be a number? Would 46 be an acceptable number?
Of a minimum?
That's what you're showing right now.
Yeah, I would say a minimum, just because those aren't, I don't know if we're going to have, just to be honest, when you look at these plans and then somebody throws seats down and then put those seats in there and you're like, this is uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. I could see, 30 at least. That's 20. I mean, you're on that, saying 30 at a minimum, maximum of 64.
If you look at 16 and 6 at the 6 at the bar, that's 20, 22, I think. That would give you flexibility. Is it enough, Elizabeth, for what you're thinking, or is that not enough? You'd like to be higher than that for a minimum.
What was that, 20?
That was 26.
Or 26?
16 and 6, 22.
22.
Yeah.
22.
That's our accountant, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Really?
Text.
Ooh, yeah, he's tired. Leave him alone. It's March. She's here. That's all. Yeah, again, I don't want to, impact their ability to get as many tables in there as they want, but I just, is 20 reasonable? I don't know. I don't even know what the square footage of that area is. Is that a reasonable?
I don't either.
I don't know.
I just don't want to, when it actually gets built and we put it out, we're like, oh my God, this comfortably sits 25.
Right.
And then we go back and going, okay, well, we said 30 and it's only 25. So,
yeah, I want to avoid that as well.
Yeah, I think, I'm fine with 20, minimum of 20 seats easily.
So-
but I'd even say 25 is not a problem.
So just to interject, and I think I can see where the group is going, and there in my mind, and this hasn't been fully kind of worked through yet with the architect, I believe that this floor arrangement has a hitch with the marsh setback to some degree. And I think it's possible that a wall could get added in here, or that room could get narrowed to comply with the marsh setback.
We
and
may
Dave-
lose those 16 seats that are on the intercoastal, and they would be pushed in.
Yes. And I
Make it
guess I wouldn't want there to be a minimum created that would make complying with the marsh setback, if it's turns out to truly be a problem, squeeze it too much.
Yeah.
So Dave, if you think, and I do think Dave is correct, that it's generally going to be pushing that wall that's against the intercoastal waterway back to basically eliminate the area where those four tops are. So, Dave, if that were done, is the number 20
Yeah, that's
as a
fine.
minimum?
So
Still,
it's
yeah.
20, is it 20 with the 6 at the bar? I mean, are we just talking about the seating, the tables?
I would just say seating, because you can include everything. 20 or do 25 or 26 with the bar.
26 with the bar seating.
Yeah, just say 26 seating, and that way the minimum 26 seating with the maximum of 64, which with possibly that change, there's no possible way of getting 64 seats in there. But.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't think so either. That'd be quite the experience in there.
A lot of
I'm comfortable with that, if that makes sense to.
I'm all right.
people who
John, are you
understand.
on here? I think John was on.
I saw him briefly,
Yep.
but I'm not.
Are you good
I'm
with
here.
that?
Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah, that's fine.
so somebody want to make that in the form of a motion to modify the existing order to indicate at least 26 seats, but no more than 64 seats?
Do we even need to say that? Or 64? I get, because
Well, and
64
I
before
guess
was
we
the whole, we got that number talking about the entirety of the,
Well, so do you want to
I'm
say,
fine saying that. There's no way it's going to happen. So that's okay.
well, so do you want to just say at least 20? I think from your standpoint, the more the better. It's more dining than bar, and that would
Yeah.
be, so you want to say at least 26 seats?
Yeah. So if we say that, so my motion would be to approve the amended plan as presented with following conditions. That the outdoor sale of food and drink shall offer no less than 26 seats and no more than 64 seats. And we finished it, or the maximum seating allowed by applicable codes on the open back deck. And then also number 2 being that the restaurant must operate in compliance with the city's noise ordinance, including entering into the noise ordinance agreement if loudspeakers are to be used, which is the same one that was in the last order. So did that work? Do I need to say it again?
Yeah. Is that a motion? That was a motion, correct?
That was a motion.
I'll second that
second that.
motion. There you go.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Good luck, man. I hope y'all don't find anything else down there.
What's our
Uh,
what's our time period for getting open?
Yeah.
We're pushing as hard as we can. We got, some structural stuff that we had to address. The thing is that we're really bringing it back. And we're putting a lot of money into new electrical, new HVAC duct, which is all going to make it long-term better. So, we've said this kind of from the beginning. We didn't want to really go short on this because of the length of the lease. But we're hoping, that midsummer we can kind of get that outdoor area open, the kitchen going, and maybe that first floor dining, and then leave the upstairs for later, just because, we're residents too. We want to get it open as fast as possible. So, we're really hoping summer, and then maybe that second floor opens in the fall or winter.
Great space.
Good.
It will
Yeah.
be.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, we thank you for all
Thank
of your
you.
hard
Thanks
work
a lot,
and
y'all.
diligence on this. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you, everyone.
Thanks. Take care.
So on to item F, miscellaneous business. You have any?
The only thing I have is that we got the city attorney scheduled, but I thought that this meeting was going to be kind of full enough without him. So he is now scheduled for your April meeting. So we'll have an annual briefing. So just think between now and then, if you have any legal questions that you want to run through with them, get those ready for the next meeting. And that's all I have.
Is there a chance we'll have a new member by then, or how long does that take to work?
I do not think so. I think it'll be at your May meeting. You want to consider postponing if it's going to be one more month?
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay, maybe we will
that would
do that.
be-
It looks like postponing 1 month would get that new member the benefit of the briefing. We may just do that.
Yeah. I noticed in our minutes before that we'd said that once that noise ordinance or the noise agreement was finalized, that we'd all get a peek at it. Has that happened yet? I noticed it on the real property.
It had not the last, I do not think it's, I don't think it's in place yet. I think it's going through real property.
Got it. Anybody have anything else?
Douglas, when you're looking at what I was talking about correction in the minutes,
Yes.
confusion may be that it's part of number 5 and it's spilled over to the next page where 6 is, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
I still don't see it. Well, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Thank you for being with us, Nicole. We appreciate you.
Thank you. That's very kind. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, if we don't have any other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
I'll second
Second.
that. Oh, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
You're off record at 5:13.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye. See
See
you
you
guys
all
soon.
next